Morning! Here we are on the river. I'm not alone. You asked for him, so here he is. Future angling star, Jake. Let's see what today brings, eh? I'm going to teach you something important now. How to operate the stove. Because eventually you'll be on tea making duty. Right. Dead easy. It's this here, you just twist this a wee bit, just one turn, and it opens up. Right. Hold your thumb over that hole and just pump it. You want to pump it 30 or 40 times. Just to pressurise it. What that's doing is it's building pressure inside the can, which pushes the petrol into the burner here. And so we'll pretend that's 30. Where did I put my lighter?
So what's that, building up gas?
Basically, it's turning the petrol into gas. And then this is your on valve. So what you do is you just get your lighter. Hold it onto the inner ring and gently turn this, and there we go. We have cooking gas. Now if you turn it all the way up, it just means that you're letting the pressure out on it a bit faster. So you don't really want to do that. Once it's now like that, we just give it a bit more of a pump. If you want blue flame, you don't want yellow flame. Yellow flame means that you're going to make a mess of the bottom of your kettle. And there you have it. Now we're making tea.
Happy days.
Well, you're getting tea, I'm getting coffee. So that'll be the next step. How to make Uncle David's cup of coffee properly. Give that a cast out.
Where do you want it?
Same place. want your drop arm sitting behind your reels, like that there. If it's sitting in front, and the fish can pull the line, but it doesn't pull the drop arm out, so you don't really know if you've got a bite.
It's time for another Cooking with Scobes video.
See, I almost have him trained. Bacon sandwich o'clock time. We've got 4 rods in. Fishing with the naturals for the most part. Perch, roach. I have a mackerel tail on one of my rods, but I've got young Jake set up so he's over by the marina. So any fish coming through the marina hit his bait first. But before we have any more talk about piking, let's talk about today's bacon sandwich. Only the finest Kennedy bacon, brioche bread buns, and Kansas City barbecue sauce. Gotta feed the boy, gotta get him filled out a bit. He's like a string of beans. So I'm going to repair this trace, and then we're going to cast out a few different baits. I'm going to give you what's called a smelt. A smelt smells like cucumber. It's a fish that smells of cucumber. And the pike seem to like them, so we're going to throw out one of those for you. I'm not so sure it's the tide, it's just the water that's coming from the upper loch. Unfortunately fills the river and the river floods. You think of all the little rivers around about Monaghan, Cavan, southern Fermanagh, they all flow into the Erne system, they all flow into what's called the upper loch. And then they flow through the river, and then they get to the lower loch, which is the big one. You just have to kind of be careful on the rivers when it's like this. See the way it's cutting down really fast there?
Yeah.
If you were in a boat, you'd have to have a strong outboard to put you past that. Otherwise you just get carried away by the current. What we're going to do is we're going to fill what's called a PVA mesh. This dissolves in water. So when you cast this out, it's like stockings, it's like net, but it'll dissolve. So we're going to fill it up with this here, which is krill. It's like a little tiny microorganism that fish eat. Krill. This is just to add some flavour into the water so that the fish can kind of smell something. Move that to the juggle. You want it plunged down dead tight. You want it dead tight so it comes out in the sausage. Like that there, that'll be a nice big thick sausage of it. Yes, it looks like a turd.
Yeah, I was gonna say, it looks like a turd.
Yeah. Looks like a big jobby. What we're going to do with it, if I get it folded up in half, we're breaking it, just make it into a shite. I don't want to do that. I'm just going to have to pull this knot down a bit tighter just.
In all fairness, it does look like a turd in the net. If that's what the fish like.
Oh, well, the fish do tend to enjoy it a lot now. They do tend to rather like it. It's important to keep it dry, otherwise you end up with bits of bait everywhere. And you always tie a wee knot in the end of it, that way when you go to make another turd in a stocking, there's a knot there. Like so, and then you fold it back down to the end of it and put this back into its tube to keep it dry. You don't really want to do this in the wet because it just goes to rat shit. Don't do it in the wet. Right, we're going to give you a new bait. We're going to give you I think I'm going to give you a herring. Nice big silver herring.
Is that like a fish?
Herring is a fish, yep.
you gonna put what do you call it? Oil in this one?
You can't really put the oil into them when they're frozen, mate, because they're frozen. So you kind of can't do that when they're frozen, but you can when they're defrosted. You can put stuff into them. Right. So these are what you call herring. They're a sea fish. Do you want to go and wind your rod in there for me? Just for a second here. Herring. Unclip the wee trace there for me, buddy. And then we're going to oh, that's okay.
Aha! Hold it. Oh. There you go.
Right. Put that down in your seat.
Just gonna let go of that.
Oh, you put it over there by the kettle there, it's fine.
Just put it on the ground?
Yeah, just put it on the ground. Put it out there in a minute. Put it out there in a minute. Right, what we're going to do here is we're going to attach your herring to your trace. I'm going to hook the turd to the herring. I'll cast this out for you. Hook into it with a couple of hooks, mesh, like so. Oh, that's alright. I'm going to put this out for you. We're going to cast the way we were casting before. Just a nice easy cast. That's hard on the bottom. Now in about 30 seconds. About 30 seconds, that mesh of wee particles will be sitting on the ground beside your herring, and it'll be starting to smell, and it'll be starting to kick off a pong. Now the river's going this way, but because we're in what's called slack here, this basically just goes round and round and round and round. See this fish there? See this was the water? There's a roach. So, see when you're setting up your drop arms, you always want your drop arms to be sitting behind your reel, like so. And just twist that around there. Okay. There's a button you can flick back and forward. It makes you, instead of winding one way, you can wind both ways. You are ready to rock and roll now. Now all we need is a pike. All we need now is a nice big pike to come and go, oh, I quite fancy a bit of herring. And munchity munchity, crunchity crunchity, we have a fish fee. I'm going to change one of my bits as well. Something bigger. I think I'm going to throw out a smelt, maybe. Remembrance Sunday 2020. Like most things that's happened this year, like many people's birthdays or anniversaries or special days or even days when you're having to go and bury friends and family, it's all had to be done differently. It's all had to be done, I don't know what the right word is. It feels very cold to me. There's definite lack of empathy. I talked ages ago about the story where an elderly lady was burying her husband, and the sons or their friends tried to pull the chairs closer to her, and the Jobsworth came out and says, no, 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 you have to pull the chairs apart, and couldn't give the old lady a hug at a funeral. So today it's Remembrance Sunday, and we can't really do it. Remembrance Sunday for me is, I suspect it's like a lot of veterans. Remembrance Sunday is it can be a difficult day for us. You know, I would say we were all touched where all of us have friends that are not here with us anymore. You just have to make some time and have a wee think. I want to also say that it's alright if you're breaking down and you're struggling. It really is, it's okay. There's people out there that can help you. You know, you don't have to do it by yourself anymore. You don't have to face it anymore by yourself. So I'm going to put the number for a charity called Combat Stress in the description of this video. These guys will help you, they really, really will. You don't have to sit there and feel like you're in a dark room with the walls closing in. A little spider friend. So when I go home tonight, I'm going to have a glass of really good whiskey. I've got some Dalwhinnie in the house, really nice whiskey, really nice single malt whiskey. And I have a good cigar. So tonight, my other half's at work, so the house is left. I'm unsupervised, which means I can have a smoke in the house. So I'm going to have a whiskey, smoke a cigar, probably edit this video. Just make a bit of time to think about my friends that aren't here anymore. Lest we forget, eh? I'm going to try something a little bit different. That's a PVA mesh stocking filled with little bits of krill and chopped up salmon and bits and pieces. And I'm going to put a perch on it. Nice perch. And use that as the bait of choice. It's beginning to rain a little bit. So this camera here is going to have to go into the into here to save it from getting destroyed. I'm going to cut the tail off this because it's already broken. So today's alright. It's just a bit slow. But from what I hear, apparently it's slow everywhere. So let me get this cast out and then we'll get back to talking to you. It just sits like that, it just sits like this above the treble. So it should make casting it a bit easier. We didn't catch anything. It was a blank. You know, that's why we call it fishing and not catching, so to speak. But young Jake had a good time despite falling asleep in the chair. Wasn't a bad day. Building him up slowly. Trying to get him to do some more casting, which is why I started the casting with just a lead weight. I'm teaching him how to let go of the lead weight. He's getting there. So please, when you're watching the video, do remember, he's a child, he's a kid. We don't want to kind of like, you know, start screaming obscenities at him just because he can't cast 150 yards. He's a relatively new angler, so bear that in the mind into the comments below, guys. Other news, the Pete Foster drop arms. Pete apparently now has his stocks replenished, so go and seek your drop arms from Pete. Remember, use the code DSAA. You'll get free postage on any orders. Drop arms, he sells them for £23 each. Excuse me, but with the code DSAA, you'll get them sent to you free postage. Just a little something from me to you to say that I appreciate you because you're my viewers. Oh, stickers. We have stickers back in stock. Again, if you want the stickers, there'll be links in the description below about how to get hold of them. And apart from that, there wasn't really much else to say about the fishing. I mean, it's difficult conditions. I'm not trying to make excuses here, it's just difficult conditions. You know, you have a river that's tanking through, that's rising. You have, from what I can gather, there was guys bivvied up all over the upper side and along most of the popular stretches of the river. And from listening to the various reports, none of them were catching anything. So there could just be it could be down to the high pressure, although that's another thing. I don't really go into that much. High pressure and weather systems. Yes, the weather system. The weather does have a lot to do with whether you fish feed. That's proven. That's just basic science. That's not to be confused with moon patterns. Again, personally, the jury is still out on moon phases and moon patterns and whether the pike eats more confidently in a full moon or a half moon or whatever. Again, I don't know enough about it. I've not done enough research on it. But I know the weather, the barometric pressure and stuff like that definitely has an effect on fish feeding. So we blanked. We spent the Sunday on the river talking shit for the most part, having a laugh, and that was our Sunday. I will get Jake out again. We'll get him. You just have to come out again and put the time in. Unfortunately, this pike fishing is nothing. It's nothing easy. You know, it just doesn't. You just don't arrive and catch, you know, fish every time you chuck a bait out. That's something that the young lad has to come to terms with, because the last couple of times he's been out with me, he's caught double-figure fish. You know, again, that doesn't happen all the time. So it's just one of those things. He is getting better. He is asking a lot more questions. He is, you know, he's a good kid. Again, teenager. So keep your comments respectful, please. That's all I'm going to ask. The last time Jake was on some of the videos, there were a few uncharitable, unkind comments that I deleted straight away. At the end of the day, he's a teenager. You know, if you're going to call me names, that's fine, I can take that, but I won't allow you to do that to a child. And if you're the sort of person that thinks insulting a child or making fun of a child's appearance is the way to go, well then go and have a wee look at yourself in the mirror, because clearly you are a turd. In other news, the Palace de Scobie has now got a log burning stove, which makes Mrs Scobie very happy, and that in turn means I get more angling time because I've kept the wife happy. So I'm going to show you a couple of photographs of the old fireplace, the hole in the wall we had when we had no fireplace, and the rather sexy new fireplace. But apart from that, fishing wise, I'm out again this week. I'm out having a few days this week. I'm not sure how much of it's going to be on camera, but I'm out having a few days this week to myself. So, as always, thanks for watching. If you've liked and you've subscribed and you've done the thumbs up or the thumbs down thing, even that there, well then thank you. And until the next time, guys, cheers.